Welcome to the K-Man for Peace show. We're back, and guess what? We have some very important information for you. So stay tuned. Stay right there with us. This is Karen, aka K-Man for Peace. This is Mr. Mike Tubbs with Elite Quality Plus. Mike is going to tell us and give us some tips on how we can better utilize credit and what it is that his company does. You may not know, but as of the closure of COVID, the bankruptcy rates went up 16.3 or 8%, somewhere in there. Might be a little off, and that's with businesses and personal bankruptcies across the board. But say you don't want to file bankruptcy. Say you want to improve your credit. Say you want to improve your chances on buying a car, buying some land, maybe buying a house, or starting a business. Mike can tell you the best avenues to go about it, and then you choose from where you stand what you want to do. Mike, thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you
I'm
for
so
having
glad
me.
you came.
Nah, I'm
I'm
glad
so
to
glad.
be here.
So Mike, I saw a presentation at a home buyers program, and you were one of the breakout rooms. I found it fascinating. I found it very informative, and I knew you were on point because I do know a little bit, but I'm not the professional that you are. And I found that in your delivery, you knew exactly what you were talking about, and you knew how to give it to them, and you know how to make people kind of understand, like, if they're not on that level of high vocabulary, you didn't go off and give us some excessive words. Tell me what it is that Elite Quality could do for the average lay person, or maybe even the professional, if they want to do something more.
Well, what we do, we help people to better understand credit, whether that's trying to increase your credit by doing different things like paying credit cards down, adding certain accounts on your credit, or getting negative accounts off your credit, which that's the bulk of my clients have that issue. They have negative accounts like collections, bankruptcy, inquiries, and they'll come to me and I help them to get those items removed.
So can you give my audience a location? Where are you in terms of, can they find you online? Can they find you in town, or do they have to come to your office?
So I'm work remote, but if they wanted to just schedule a consultation, you can go to www.elitequalityplus.com. You can schedule a consultation. You can find me on Facebook. My name is just Mike Tubbs, MikeTubbs, or Instagram, Mr_Refocus.
Okay. So let me ask you, how did you get started with this? And what made you like it so much that you do so well at it?
Well, I always tell people I was my first client.
Okay.
You know, like I was in a relationship prior, and my ex, her credit was just stellar, and it did something to my pride. Like, man, you know, my woman credit super swole, and you know, I'm over here, I make great money, but it's like I'm spending so much of my cash, and now I'm seeing how she's utilizing her credit, and I'm like, man, what if we both were in that position? So I just started learning about credit. Dove into it, going to different seminars, paying for coaches, mentors, learning about it. And I'm like, you know what? When I fixed my credit, I seen how they treated me different. Going to the banks, you know, I know it was different. When I was going to get a car one time and they asked me, did I want some champagne? I'm like, I got champagne here? Y'all always offer me tap water and popcorn.
Right. You get up and go get it yourself.
You know, but then just seeing how they just treat me, and I'm like, I want other people to feel this way. So prior to working on credit, I used to be an aircraft mechanic.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So yeah,
fabulous. And you traded all that in to teach people how to utilize credit. You don't miss it?
I don't. Like the aspect of being able to travel and, you know, take my family traveling with me. We used to go a lot of places. My best vacation ever was going to London with my daughter and with my ex. You know, we spent 10 days over there, and I was able to afford that by being able to have the job that I did because of my schedule. But I'm like, man, it's just more. I just want other people to. I felt like I don't want to just have this for myself. I want to teach other people about this, help other people, so they can feel what I felt when I got my credit situated, so they won't feel ashamed.
So let me just say this, and if you can take a look into the camera and tell our audience, sometimes we walk in, say a bank, and we're intimidated, and we don't really know what we should be asking for when, say, we want to finance a house. Is it good if you have just a basic credit score, say 650, to ask the banker, say, can I see your foreclosure list and see what it is that I could afford to buy? Do you think that works the same way with your credit? Or do you think, and I know right now it's market, the rate is high, and they say it's not really a buyer's market, but people are still buying,
Absolutely.
whether it's the market or not. How do you speak to that?
So I tell people, like, so with a 650, you can get a home. You know, but I tell people the difference. Well, you can get a house with a 650, but I tell people it's the difference between getting a house and getting a home. So with a 640, 650, you may get approved for 180,000, 200,000, but with a 750, you can get approved for 500,000, 600,000. So depending on how much money that you're looking to borrow from the bank and what type of mortgage you want to have, it just makes the world of a difference, because now the house that's 500,000, if you start looking at that as an investment, now you can start doing things that you couldn't before, like pull equity out of your home, start being able to have home ownership, because this is the land where you need to own something. And when you get a home and you start adding things into it, that $500,000 house, you look up maybe 10 years down the line, now it's worth $750. So now you have $250,000 worth of equity that you can be able to pull out of your house and do other things with. Now I know there are some people that like, you know, I want to be able to look at that foreclosure list and do things like that to find a home that might meet my budget. But there are some people like, man, I don't want that. I want to be able to get the home that I want, because I worked hard to get this credit score, and I want to be the first person to ever live in this house, whether it's from the ground up or it's a brand new home that just hit the market. So it's really all about what you want to do. But the biggest thing about it is when your credit score is great, you have more options versus someone that has a 550 credit score that's only subject to getting the type of home that they may be able to afford to get, like a $100,000 home, which I'm not going to say is not a lot of home, but it may not be the home that you want to have for you and your family.
Okay. Now, I want to ask, wouldn't it be better sometimes in certain instances with certain credit scores, do you think it's a wise thing to borrow against a credit card if, say, for instance, I got this fantastic business idea, but then I know I'm going to turn over a profit fairly quickly so that I could give it back and not have to worry about the interest that's going to eat me up trying to give it back. You know what I'm saying? So like if I'm leveraging, say I'm going to go into a venture that's like $50,000, and I know in a couple of months I'm going to get another $50,000 back, and so I can give it back to them. Do you think that's a good deal to give it all back at once, or do you think it's better to kind of piece it out and pay a little at a time so that that score and makes you actually more valuable in the eyes of the loaner than just me thinking, I just want to get out the way? What do you think about that?
Well, I will tell people in that instance, I will definitely borrow using my credit card, but I'm not going to do it on my personal side. I'm going to create my LLC, structure it correctly, and I'm going to use it on my business side, because that $50,000 that you just got, now it's not going to show up on your credit report at all, because now it's on your business side. Your business credit and your personal credit are two totally different things. So I tell people all the time, if you have the access to be able to pull up your business side, do it, because it's not going to hurt you. Because a lot of times with those credit cards, you might get a credit card 0% interest for 18 months. So you might be able to pull $50,000 off and you have to pay $100 back a month for the next 18 months, versus pulling $50,000 off on your personal side. Now you still have to pay the $100 a month back, but your score took a dip because your utilization is really high now. So that's why I tell people, like, make sure you always get an LLC or an S Corp, because once you have those things, they're not going to show up on your personal credit. Because anything you do on your personal side, you do on your business side. You want to get a credit card, get it on your business side. You want to get a car, get it on your business side. You want to get you want to get a car or a cell phone, put it on your business side. Because that's what the businesses are for. There are things you can be able to write off and be able to pretty much, in a sense, like hide your debt. Not saying you're not going to pay it, but you want to keep your credit score, because that's the foundation. You're able to get all this money on your business side because how well your personal side is structured.
Now, you know, and when you speak to the LLC part, I've seen in past events where I've gotten calls like, hey, I did this LLC, but now I got to file these taxes, and they are trying to mesh my LLC with my personal taxes. And then I to me, I just think it's a certain kind of vulnerability there where you can still be, if say somebody wants to even sue you, attacked through that doorway. But when you mention the S corp, I think that's a safer bet. I don't know if you agree, but can you speak to whether or not that is better if that person wants, or our audience like chooses to go that route, if that's a better bet because of the write-offs, like you said. It used to be back in the day where you had to wait 10, 15 years to get something wrote off because every year you write it off. But now it's like, hey, right away, the government's just, these credits and everything are changing every day. But the corporations are still ahead. So what can you speak to regarding how much better, and I think personally, the S Corp would be than that LLC?
So it honestly kind of depends like what type of business venture that you're doing. So I know with the LLC, and I've talked to different CPAs because like that's their lane. So I do credit. So when it comes to those things, they be like, okay, Mike, you do business, which will fall under like consulting. So you might want to stay on an LLC because when you start getting like to an S Corp, it's a whole different field versus someone that's doing like a
and more people involved.
Correct. So you might have an S Corp where you have 20, 30 employees versus my consulting business that has maybe 4 employees. It's a totally different game. I may be accumulating $500,000. They're accumulating $5-6 million a year. So it's a totally different ball game. So I tell people to advise the CPA because I don't want to tell them something that I don't know to be true, and they'll let you know further what would be your best option depending on what your business is and what type of revenue that you've made that year.
Yeah, because I found that even when you do that, you still have to pay your employees. You got to pay your employer tax.
Correct.
Then, it's almost like a double taxation that's going on. And so then I think that people start to get tripped up, and that's when they start to mess up the credit a bit because they're trying to borrow because they think they need to do that to save the business, which ends up not really being so profitable. So what have you found in your exchange with people when you're advising them when they get stuck there and they get to be afraid and it's time to pay Uncle Sam? Because you got your state as well as your feds.
Absolutely.
And so by the time you do your FICA and everybody else, you're wondering, okay, so how am I supposed to keep this up? And then you got your unemployment insurance. What would be a safer, if in your eyes as a person that's running a credit advising service and consultation, would be for them if they needed to go there?
Yeah, so before I really just started, when I first just started doing it, I was just oblivious to just all of these things. But getting with like the right CPA has helped me to know, like you said, about all of these different things because I didn't know much. I'm just kind of like, I'm good at credit. Let me do this. Let me fix your credit. Let me get you in, I'll get you a card and all that. But it's like, whoa, Mike, you have to make sure that you're taking care of all of these things. So I would just say having the right CPA, a person that's knowledgeable about personal credit, about personal taxes and business taxes to let you know what you need to do so you can start making a profit because that's the whole point of having a business.
Right. So can you help them in that area if they need?
So I would advise them. I can advise them to someone that's a CPA that's good in that area. But I'll tell let me get that camera right now. I'm not going to help you with your taxes. But I will refer you to someone that can be able to help you in that area because that's the hat that they wear very well.
And I like that advice. Thank you so much.
For sure.
The other thing I want to say is, and so for the young people that are getting ready to go to college, you know what happens, right? You got the applications for the this and the visas, and they want to go shopping because now mom and dad are not telling you what to do. They're not telling you what to spend it on, and they're running to the Apple store, they're running to, Abercrombie and Fitch, and they're shopping in other places. How do you speak to that age group so that they can basically, while they're going out there, feel safer about money? What can you advise the young youth today? Because when they get ready to go to these universities, mom, dad's not going to be there to say don't apply for that. And in a lot of instances, people need co-signers. So
Absolutely.
What would you say for somebody that's co-signing? And what would be the pitfalls they need to watch out for? That's the one question. And then the number two, the youth that are going into college that these offers so freely come and they don't have jobs yet.
Correct.
So how would you speak to them and what advice would you give them based on that scenario?
So within the last year, I've been going to different high schools and different programs, talking to the students just because those juniors and seniors that are close to being adults and going to college, I'm talking to them about like, you're going to get preyed on. And I just let them know, don't spend nothing that you can't pay back. And it sounds really, it doesn't make sense to someone that's kind of like, man, I'm 3,000 miles away from the house, I ain't got no food, but I just got approved for $1,000 credit card. And I'm like, yeah, but now you're about to start life early in debt. And once you get in debt, it's so hard to get out of it, especially if you don't have money. And now these things are just going to just hold you back. And then I'll tell them about just people taking advantage of vulnerability. And once you understand, like, why credit is just, I tell people, like, credit is just it's being disciplined. If I could break credit down to one word, it's about being disciplined. Because you have this $1,000 credit card does not mean that you need to spend $1,000. Get a job. Because you want to spend that credit card because you want to show the creditors, I have the ability to spend the money that y'all gave me, because that's what credit is. Credit is other people's money. That's what it is. If I can show other people that loan me money that I have the ability to not only pay them their money back, but pay it back on time or early, you can start getting more money. And these are the things that I be wanting to resonate with these young folks, and then get them to think different. Like, okay, cool, that makes sense. If they give me $1,000. In 3-4 months, I'm getting me a job at the school cafeteria or doing this or doing that. I pay them that money back. Now they just gave me $4,000. I do that again in another 4 or 5 months. Now they gave me $10,000. And that's all about you being disciplined with other people's money. But if they give you $1,000 and you blow it, now you're showing them early in life you don't know how to handle other people's money. And you're not good at paying people their money back. So I tell them, just be disciplined and try not to spend any more that you can't spend back, especially if you don't have money, because that's the thing that people have a misconception of. I have access to $1 million so I can spend that. Yeah, but can you pay that back?
Right.
You have to pay that money back. You are in a position to be able to get the money because of your good credit and your good spending habits, but can you pay that money back?
Okay. So now, Elite Quality Plus, what can we expect when we call you up?
Quality.
And,
Elite quality.
And in that quality, because like I said, I came to the breakout room and you had it broke down on the board. So we don't have a board right here, right now.
Right.
And you did a fascinating job with doing that. And I noticed that a couple of people had a couple of questions that they still didn't understand, but when you got through with it, they understood. If my audience calls Quality Plus right now, we might not get you on the phone. We might get your workers. What can we get?
Yeah, they're gonna get me. So like that's the joy I get about the job. So how it goes, like Elite Quality Plus, you have to schedule a consultation. Like I said, they can go to elitequalityplus.com.
Okay.
Schedule a consultation. You will have to fill out a link so I can be able to look at your credit report, and we go through it. We go see the good, bad, and the ugly. And I want to let you know exactly what needs to be done, what you can expect from me, and break it down to you, because as you said earlier, I don't want to talk over people's head. I want to be able to meet you where you are. If you don't know much about credit, talking above your head, I already lost a customer.
Okay.
And in reality, it's a service, but I give a fulfillment just knowing this person came here not knowing much about credit, and they're leaving here feeling confident that they're going to leave, that they know much more about credit, and that by the time we're done, they're going to have a good credit score and a better understanding. Because my whole goal is to, if you came to me with a 550 credit score, and then you left with a 750 credit score, but you still have a 550 mindset, I didn't do my job.
Okay.
I have to make sure that the credit score and the mindset transfer over to your new area in your life.
Can they look for support from you even after they've gone through, like, do you have phases in the program, or is it like just a one-stop shop? I consult with you and show you what I have, and you say, okay, so this is the breakdown of your credit report. Are you walking me through those steps, or are you just giving me a pamphlet with some directions and saying, go do that and then call me back?
No, so I'll take care of the bulk of the work for you. So you'll come to me, we'll look at your credit report, I'll let you know what's on there, how much it'll cost, how long it'll take, like a real life expectation, because the consultations are free. So like there's no money being exchanged. I want you to see exactly what I see, because we're going to be looking at the same time, like, okay, you have 5 derogatory remarks, you have 20 inquiries. you can expect it to be X amount. It might take me 10 months. Because no one wants to be lied to.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of people have, at some point in their life, been ran amok on somebody that ran a scam on them. So that makes people leery, especially when it comes to giving out their personal information to someone that you may not know. So a lot of my clients come off of the basis of knowing someone that they personally know through me. We have a person in common. It may be a past client, but I tell my clients, anytime you can always ask me a question. Even when you're done, you got your house, your car. Hey, Mike, I got a question about this. Because I tell people, I'd rather for you to ask me than you to make a mistake. And if I don't know, we can figure it out together. Like when you ask me about the CPA question, like I'm like, no, that's not my lane. But I will refer you to someone that's skilled in that area.
And I'm glad I posed that question because I really wanted the audience to notice the difference.
Correct.
And you were able to describe what that was so that they are not confused when they're calling you and their expectation is that they're going to receive all of these things in this one-stop area, but then they know that there's a difference between the two. And so when you're seeking to get yourself repaired or do better than where you are, they know what to expect. So I was speaking to the question of if somebody's co-signed for a person and then they want something of their own, and say the person did not show such a trustworthy track record when in supporting them with that co-signature, what happens to the person that wants to do something at that point that is co-signed for someone? I know I've met a few people that have had like I had to notarize somebody one time and they were like, I don't know what to do about this card, but I can't even find it. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
But I'm trying to do something else and I don't know if I can apply for this or that. What would that person's recourse be if they needed to do something about it and fix that credit?
Call Elite Quality Plus. I mean, like, once you get... And the thing that you said about that co-signing, like, I tell people straight up and down, like, the only person that I will co-sign for is my wife if I was married, or my child, something that I'm actually paying. Because if you co-sign for me, and then I start making my payments, whatever negative items on my credit report, now is on your credit report. And that's unfair.
Yeah.
Because you really just try to do me a solid, and I messed you over. Now, if I co-sign for like my wife, and I'm making the payments, I can only feel comfortable about the merit of my payments versus someone else's. And I tell people that all the time, but you know, sometimes it be I want to help my cousin out, want to help my friend, my sister. Listen, that's your credit, and you might have a family. Now it's not fair because now your credit might drop. One late payment to drop your score 80 points.
And real quick.
Even
inquiries drop them. So, and people don't understand that, and especially if they're constantly running it, like it's different than a house if you're purchasing when they run it, as opposed to a car when they run it. Because they could do a hard run for your home if you're purchasing that, but then this car is like they run. Okay, well, we found somebody to finance you, and then by the time you look up, you think you had $750, and you look back, you wait a minute, why is this $680? What happened? So it can be a little tedious, but it's, you know, some eggshells you're walking on when you're talking about helping people, and they just don't understand.
Correct.
That's going out on a limb to help somebody in that area.
It is.
What can a person do when, say, I got a question posed to me and I said, well, you're going to have to call Elite Quality Plus and ask them that. But then she said, well, I'm just going to go on and pay it off. They found the car, but I think the tab was like $8,000, and she decided, well, I'm just going to take this. I settled for $3,000, I'm going to give it to them. And what I said to her was, you might want to think about that, because if you settled, then they're going to give you, in your income taxes, they count that as income.
Correct.
And that means you're going to be paying taxes on that. And you already paid taxes on the car. We got it.
Absolutely.
So what would you advise somebody if they decided to do something like that? What would they be able to do instead of just selling? Because, you know, it's a lot of stuff coming out for these companies that are out now saying, we can help you resolve your credit. We can give you this loan You know, it almost
Yeah.
sounds predatory, but then the interest rate is exorbitant. What, if anything, does that do for them in terms of credit?
So I tell people sometimes, so you at 8, you settle for 3, and you pay the 3, and then you look back and on your credit report, it might just say paid, and that's it, and it's still on there. But what a lot of people don't know is when you look on your credit report, you see something that says like collection or charge off, that means that company has written that debt off.
And they already got paid for it.
Because,
but then they want you to pay again.
Correct, because they have to file a 1099 for that. And
right,
and
then you get one.
And if you file a 1099, that's considered income.
Yep.
And by law, income is not supposed to be shown on one's credit report. So they double dipping. They got paid for the $8,000. They got that. Then they got 3 off of you. Day up. And then it's still furnished on your credit report.
And then you still got to pay taxes, because when you go into filing your taxes, guess what? Some of them, that money you're supposed to get back in credit, they won't. They're going to count that as income. And I tried to explain that to the person, but I'm like, you're going to have to call a credit counselor.
Correct. And I tell people it's be the stuff that you don't know that hurts you. You know, like people,
Can they write in and say, well, I don't want to settle and take that off my report because me and this company, we ain't, some people in there,
Correct.
some things sound right to them and some things just aren't right at all. But
Correct.
What can they do in terms of if they want to not settle? What's the worst case scenario? Not settling.
So if you don't settle, then that item just remains on your credit report. Excuse me, and sometimes it does fall off, but that'll take 7 to 10 years. No one wants to wait 7 to 10 years. But like for me, I actually sit back and I study credit, the laws behind it, like how we just have regular laws just for civilians. There's things called consumer laws, which protects you from companies doing certain things. Like no, you don't have the right to do that, because in all reality, a credit report is only supposed to talk about the character of a person. That's it. It's not supposed to show anything between any transaction between you or a creditor, because as you being an original obligor, you're the original debtor. You're supposed to tell them, okay, you can furnish that on my credit. But they know most people don't know these things at all, and they'll give you a lot of stall tactics doing that. But they're like, man, this person ain't letting up, and then they'll see some things that fall off because now they're like, okay, we're dealing with someone that really knows. But the average person, they just give up.
And so are you able to give your customers recourse within the laws that they can take and utilize when you're helping them?
Yeah, and I tell them certain things that they know, but a lot of times it's like, I'll let people know, I'm like, okay, Mike, what are my options? Like, I just want to pay off, let's say I have 7 items on my credit report, they want me to pay $15,000, I'm supposed to be getting that back for income tax or a profit sharing check, and I'm like, well, you don't per se have to do that. But then honestly, a lot of times people just like, I don't have the time, Mike.
And they don't want to bother.
It just seems like that's your lane, so let me help you. And I let people know, like, okay, it may take this much amount of time. And that's why, again, I make sure people know that before we even start. Because some people be expecting an overnight thing, and I'm like, let's be real.
It didn't take you overnight.
It took you about 8-9 years to get your credit here, but you want to fix it in 2 months.
Right.
No.
They want a miracle.
This is a 9 to 12 month job. That's a year and a half month job. Because I tell people, if you have 4 negative items on your credit, in reality, that's 12. Because there's 3 bureaus.
Right.
And a lot of times those 4 items show up on all 3 bureaus. And just because they fall off Experian doesn't mean that you're going to fall off
TransUnion or Equifax.
It's something that you said a little bit earlier, though, and just so funny because I just was speaking about this yesterday. Getting a card. I tell anybody, anytime you get a card, never go to the dealership and let them run your credit. Go to your bank or your credit union. They're going to run your credit one time. Even if you got a 580, they'll be like, look, we'll give you $10,000.
Now go find a car.
And they only ran your credit one time.
Right.
Versus.
And then you have a relationship with them also.
Correct.
Because if you build one, that legitimizes your character with money with them. And people don't know that as well. But sometimes we be in a rush and we forget and we're not thinking. And that's why we need to go to Mike. So Mike can tell you exactly what you need to do. But go ahead, Mike, and finish.
Yeah, because I tell people, like, people feel bullied, especially people that's never been around money or lacked understanding of the process, whether it's buying a house, buying a car. That's why some people that would rather be, and I ain't knocking anyone because I grew up on Section 8, but that's why some people that rather be on Section 8 and get all the government assistance. And like, you know what? I tell people like, look, these are things that you should do because everybody's situation is different. You may have a 700 credit score, but you only have 2 items on there. So I'm like, okay, these are items that you need to add to your credit report because most creditors look at you in a whole different way. If you got a 700, you got 10 positive items on there. They're like, okay, you got great credit and you know how to handle credit. Versus having a 700 and you got 1 item on there. That 1 item might be something that you're authorized user on somebody's credit card. So in reality, you don't even have any credit. You're basing your credit based off the merit of your husband or someone else. So it'd be little things like that. People be like, man, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, you know, you have to start building your credit out because they look at it like that. Like, let me see the relationship you have with other people. Because the biggest factor on your credit is your payment history. They want to see how do you pay people back. How do you pay people back? When people loan you money, do you pay them back? People look at a card note like, yeah, you got a card note, that's a loan. We just talk about card note. Somebody loaned you $20,000 and you're paying that off in installments. They might say give us $350 for the next 6 years. You know, but that $350 may be because your credit score is really good. You might have a Mercedes-Benz 2024. You paying $350. You're like, I want to lease it. This person might be paying $800. Same car, but they got a 550 credit score. You put no money down for that nice automobile. They pay $800 a month and they have to pay $5,000. Same car. And people just understand how important those 3 little numbers. Those 3 little numbers can affect your life.
Now let me ask you. I want you to speak to. You have a credit card and you pay it off.
Yes.
But then the company closes the card, and you thinking, I paid that off, and so now my score is going to skyrocket. You know, because I got a couple of cards paid off and I'm not using them.
Absolutely.
And they close the account. Speak to that for me.
So I tell people when you get a credit card, you should always use those credit cards. A lot of times they close it because you don't use it. Nowadays, everybody pays for at least 1 to 2 subscriptions, whether it's Netflix, Hulu, ESPN, something. Let those credit cards be used to pay those subscriptions. Keep that credit card active because if they look, because a lot of times once at least a year, they'll look and see, okay, let me see what Karen is doing. Let me see what Charles is doing. Let me see what Michael is doing. That credit card. Okay, you got $10,000 credit card. They ain't even used it once. I don't even think they want it. They either go cut the limit down more than half or close it. But if you have that same credit card and they're like, okay, they're at least keeping it alive. That credit card is woke. They paying that $30 a month on a Hulu. They paying it right back off. You have to have some type of motion because if not, that's the difference between you having a $10,000 credit, access to $10,000, and not. Because that $10,000 credit card can now become a means of income, meaning you got the credit card, you can add at least 5 people on that credit card as the authorized user if you keep that utilization low. So now each person, you can be like, you know what, you give me $200 a month, I'll add you on this credit card. Because a lot of people might have high utilization. That $10,000 credit card might take their utilization from 45% down to maybe 25%. They score go up 30, 40 points. But you can't do that if you don't got the credit card.
Right.
So you have to do something. Take yourself out to lunch. You know, like, and as you said you was in the class, one of the things I told people, use your credit card for everything. Forget that you got your debit card. Use the credit card for everything. I haven't used a credit card or debit card in, it's been years now.
Yeah, keep people out your bank account.
You know, like, for sure, like, because with that credit card, you can never get cash back with your own money.
Right.
You can't get credit, you can't get cash back with a debit card. You can't get travel perks with a debit card. With that credit card, they're like, okay, we looked up, you use this credit card X amount of times. You look up at the end of the year, they might give you $800 back from the cash back.
And there's a lot of them offering that. Discover.
Correct.
All these brands that are offering these cards, cheap flights.
Correct.
Booking through the card. So if they keep that low, like you said, and they can utilize that, they like today I want to go on vacation. Okay, well this card is offering me 10% back if I buy these products. Or when I look up, oh wait, I got this money. Well, I'm just gonna take this and go do something special with it. You know, that's your money because you spent it, and they give you. It's almost like a fundraiser for yourself.
Correct.
That's what it sounds
that's
like.
exactly what it is. Because if you're getting 5% cash back, if you spent $10,000 this month on that cash back, you might look up like, man, I just got $500 off of spending stuff for my company, my cameras, doing this, but I got $500 off, and then you go pay the money back. I got $500. You do that 12 times a year, that's $6,000.
Now, you know what I used to find a good thing, but sometimes it kind of, well, now it's not so much so good. They have these offers that'll come in the mail, and they'll say, if you open an account with us today for savings or just a regular checking account for business or whatever the account is, and we'll give you $600 back. And then some of them will have the small caption, but you got to leave it in there for 6 months. Do you think those are great ideas? Because they do 1099.
Correct.
So that's, again, income. Can you speak to that in terms of, is that a good?
It depends which company it is. So like some of these companies are super dope with building a relationship with, like American Express. Like you definitely want to build one. American Express has at least like 20 credit cards for flights, hotels, things like that. And they also have a checking account now. So I will leave money in American Express.
Okay.
But I wouldn't do it for a company that I'm not really reaping a lot of benefits or perks off of.
And just to get that $250 or $600 ain't really worth it, and your money just sitting there and it ain't really growing a lot. Because I noticed that the interest rate is not really, so great with checking and savings these days anyway, and it's not going to earn you anything fast. So if somebody wants to do a trust in terms of saving money and doing things that way, is that a good option to do?
A trust? A trust is a phenomenal option. I'm actually edifying myself more right now about a trust. Like, everyone that's serious about life should have a trust. The trust is everything. All the wealthy people that we've ever known about, the Rockefellers, all of those families, they're trust babies. They trust on everything, their house, their businesses, because like
they pay less in taxes doing it.
And then it's super hard for somebody to come take your stuff because the trust owns everything versus getting a will.
Because you have to ask permission from the trust to get anything out of it. So it's leaving a paper trail too.
Absolutely.
To anybody that's trying to get a hold of anything.
And you don't get us talking about that because he said we ain't got that much time. But that's
he said we have 5 minutes. I'm trying to make sure that my audience is as informed as possible in ways and varieties to be able to utilize money, because right now it's getting harder. And our kids coming along, they're talking about, Social Security is being taxed at 12% now. And when we were babies, I'm not going to ask you how old you are. You said something about your grand beard. But back when we were little, it was 6%. And so now they're going to be paying this money back. So I need them to know there's a better option, and there are creative ways that you can utilize and use your money, but then there are also techniques out there to protect yourself. So if we do nothing more than just touch on these various subjects, they can always go on their own and investigate further when the need arises, or hopefully the need doesn't arise, and just prepare themselves. So that was my objective with asking you to come on today, and I so appreciate you coming and sharing your professional opinion and your experience and your company information. Give us again your web, phone number, and where we can find you, because I don't want anybody to miss out on being able to find Mike. I don't want you to say that I didn't let you have it here on K-Man for Peace. If you got to pause this a couple times and write something down, then pause it.
Absolutely.
Okay?
So I'm going to look right into that camera. So you can find me on Facebook. It's Mike Tubbs, M-I-K-E, last name Tubbs, T-U-B-B-S. You can find me on Instagram, Mr. Mr_Refocus, R-E-F-O-C-U-S-E-D. My phone number is 734-415-3586. And if you want to schedule a consultation, go to www.elitequalityplus.com. And I want to drop one more gem for y'all too, though, just a little hidden gem. So if you got an LLC, you got good credit, you can go to Bank of America and they can give you 4 auto loans off of 1 inquiry. Bank of America pulls Experian. So if you want to get a Toro business or different things like that, those are different gems. There's a lot of gems out there, but I want to drop that one on y'all. Again, Bank of America. Go to bankofamerica.com. but you have to have an active LLC. So again, it's gems out here. It's just for y'all to just go get them. I just gave y'all a free one right there.
Thank you, Mike.
It's not a problem.
Thank you, Elite.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad you came.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all for inviting me.
Stay tuned. K-Man for Peace. Until next time. Bye-bye.
I like that, though. How we do, y'all?
Bob.